Dive on all this, right? So let's jump right in. Demetrius's story starts back in '78. He had kind of rough upbringing in Cordell, Georgia,
Yeah.
and by the time he was in his late teens, he was already having run-ins with the law, drug dealing,
Oh.
theft,
Huh.
even a robbery charge.
Yeah, it's sadly, Demetrius's story isn't that uncommon. We
Mm.
see this happen a lot. Poverty and just a lack of opportunity. It can really trap people in this cycle of crime and ending up back in prison. It's tough to break free.
Yeah, for sure. And in '96, there's this big turning point, a police encounter that ends up with Demetrius in jail. But this is where things get really interesting. He ends up serving a pretty long sentence from 2005 all the way to 2021. But while he's in prison, he finds love, he finds a sense of purpose, and this incredible vision for a completely different future.
Yeah, that's what's so powerful about second chances. It's not just about avoiding the mistakes from the past. It's about finding that spark, that drive to create something good. And for Demetrius, it seems like prison really gave him that spark.
Totally. He gets out in 2021
hmm
and right away launches this nonprofit, Next Gen and Beyond Inc. They've got these two main programs, and they're both super ambitious. One is called Take Action. It tackles food insecurity straight on. And then there's REACHING. That's where the tech side of things comes in.
Take action is really interesting because it shows that we're starting to understand that food insecurity. It's not just about not having enough food, it's about not having access. And programs like this that are based in the community, they can have a real impact. But yeah, let's talk about REACHING. It's all about giving people the digital skills and the economic knowledge they need to really thrive. We're talking economic literacy, e-commerce, problem solving, even ethics and global awareness.
It's pretty incredible, right? And get this, he's planning these commercials.
Hmm.
And he's got the CEOs of NVIDIA, Tesla, and Meta all signed on, all talking about their involvement with REACHING.
Wow. Just think about that for a second. You've got young people in these communities that are really struggling, and they see these huge tech leaders. Supporting a program like this, I mean, that could be so inspiring. It could really change things. Of course, whenever you see these big partnerships, you have to wonder about things like sustainability and will everyone be able to access it? But I'm sure we'll get into that later.
Yeah, for sure. Now, you mentioned that Demetrius was able to launch Next Gen and Beyond so quickly after getting out in 2021. And it turns out there's a specific reason for that. He was able to use something called opportunity zones.
Oh, yeah. Opportunity zones are these areas. They're often struggling economically, and they offer big tax breaks to encourage new investment. The idea is to try and create jobs and boost development in places that need it most. But there's been a lot of debate about how well they actually work. Some people say that they just end up benefiting wealthy developers and not the communities they're supposed to help.
That's interesting. So Demetrius was able to use these resources,
Yeah.
launched his nonprofit, and started making a real difference. But it makes you wonder, did opportunity zones really level the playing field for him? Or was something else going on? Like, could anyone with a good idea and the drive to make it happen take advantage of this program? Or did Demetrius's story and the people he knew play a big part? It definitely raises some questions.
That's a really good point. It's complicated. Demetrius's success is probably a mix of things. His vision for sure, his drive to make it happen. The Opportunity Zone program definitely helped. Maybe even some luck too. And we can't forget about the people in his life. The articles mention that Demetrius met his partner while he was in prison.
Oh, right. That's another whole side of this story. It makes you think, how often do those strong relationships play a role in these kinds of transformations? Having someone who believes in you, who supports what you're trying to do, that's got to be huge.
Totally. And it seems like for Demetrius, love wasn't just personal support. It was a driving force behind Next Gen and Beyond. In fact, the source material actually names someone called Tampal as the queen and creator and CEO.
Oh, wow. Okay, so they really built this thing together. That's amazing. But, we've talked a lot about the big picture, the inspiration behind REACHING, the opportunity zones. What about how it all actually works? What do these 10-week courses look like? What are the details?
Yeah, that's where things get really interesting. Unfortunately, the source material doesn't really dig into the nitty-gritty. It does mention that it's a mix of in-person and online learning, probably using resources from Microsoft and Feeding America.
Okay, so let me see if I've got this right. You've got workshops led by people from Microsoft, online courses that are tailored to what people need, maybe even mentoring programs that connect people with those already working in tech.
Exactly.
They
That
develop
kind of
a
approach
roadmap
combines
and
the
stay
power of
focused
tech
on-
with that human connection, that personal touch that can make all the difference.
And remember those commercials we talked about
Yeah.
with the CEOs from NVIDIA, Tesla, and Meta?
Oh, yeah. Imagine those messages reaching young people in these communities. Seeing those successful tech leaders supporting REACHING, it could be huge. It could inspire a whole new generation of tech innovators and entrepreneurs.
It's a really hopeful story. But let's be real for a second. Do you see any potential downsides or challenges? I mean, it all sounds fantastic, but is it too good to be true?
Well, one challenge is going to be scaling it up. Can they replicate this program in other communities without losing what makes it work? And then there's the issue of access. Will everyone who needs this program be able to participate? Will they
Right.
have the resources, the support, even the basic digital skills to get started?
Those are really important points. And what about long-term sustainability? Partnering with these big tech companies is great, but what if those companies shift their focus? Or what if they run into problems of their own? Can REACHING adapt and survive on its own?
That's the big question, isn't it? Demetrius and his team are going to have to think about building a sustainable model, one that can handle the changes that are always happening in the tech world. Maybe they need to look at different sources of funding. Maybe they need to build their own tech infrastructure. Maybe they need to create the trainer program so they can scale up more effectively.
Yeah, those are all crucial things to consider. But for now, it's a really inspiring story. It shows how second chances and tech-driven solutions can create a better future. It makes you think, what other innovative solutions are out there? What else could we be doing to support these communities that are often left behind?
Yeah, it really does. We talk so much about the digital divide. But what if we started thinking about technology differently? What if instead of separating people, it could actually connect them like a bridge to bring these communities up? It's all about perspective, right? Demetrius' story shows that it's not enough to just give people access to technology. We have to teach them the skills, give them the knowledge to use it in a way that really helps them so they can create their own opportunities, become leaders in their communities.
It's about giving people the power to do things themselves, not just making it easier for them to get online. And that seems to be at the heart of REACHING, helping people believe in themselves, learn how to think critically, showing them how technology can help them achieve their goals.
It's a whole different world than it was back in the early days of the internet. Back then, it was all about getting people connected. Now it's about making sure that everyone has the opportunity to participate, to benefit from all the amazing things that are happening.
It's a huge shift. And it brings us back to Demetrius. He went from a life caught up in the justice system to launching a nonprofit focused on tech. It's really a powerful story. It shows what can happen when people get a second chance and how technology can change lives.
It proves that innovation can come from anywhere. And sometimes the best solutions come from the people who've actually lived through the problems.
It's a story that should make all of us think. What can we learn from this? What can we do? How can we use our skills and knowledge and resources to support programs like REACHING? How can we help create a world where technology benefits everyone?
Those are the questions we need to be asking. Demetrius' story is just one example, but it shows what's possible when we invest in people and use technology to make a real difference. What stories will you help create?